Hello dear teacher trainees. Um, Today we are going to learn about micro teaching and what is micro teaching in a brief manner. And before we go to that topic, let us understand first of all the difference between micro teaching and micro and macro. That means here we all know that micro is small and macro is big. That means here micro teaching is in which we are going to learn or practice each skill. That means one skill at a time. But when we come to the macro teaching, that is the class, the real classroom situation, the real class that which consists of 40 to 45 minutes. And during that particular period, we are going to practice or we are going to make use of number of skills. We can say that bundle of skills. But here in micro teaching, that is altogether different from that particular thing. Okay. Now let us see that the definition of micro teaching. When we come to the definition of micro teaching is a scaled down. Micro teaching is a scaled down teaching encounter in class size and time. Micro teaching is a scaled down teaching encounter in class size and time according to DWLN. So when you come to this one, this is very important definition. We all should remember this. It is a scaled down teaching encounter. Now let us go to the next one. According to DWLN and A.W. Eve 1968, they gave this definition. Micro teaching is defined as a system of controlled practice that makes it possible to concentrate on specified teaching behavior and to practice teaching under controlled conditions. Here, one thing is the teaching behavior is specified and it will be practiced under controlled conditions. And the next one we will see. And according to L.C. Singh 1977, micro teaching is a scaled down teaching encounter in which a teacher teaches a small unit to a group of 5 pupils for a small period of 5 to 20 minutes. Okay, that means we are going to reduce the period of time, that is 5 to 20 minutes according to L.C. Singh. Dear students, here we have to see something. It's better to know something about the history of micro teaching. First of all, the idea of micro teaching originated in the first time at Stanford University in USA when an experimental project on the identification of teaching skills was in progress under the guidance and supervision of the faculty members. Okay, first of all, it was originated for the first time at Stanford University, USA. And now we have to see what is micro teaching. Micro teaching is so called since it is analogous to putting the teacher under a microscope so to say, while he is teaching, so that all faults in teaching methodology are brought into perspective for the observers to give a constructive feedback. That means here the teacher trainee is going to teach to the co-trainees. Co-trainees, in other words, are the students or the trainees who are taking training along with that particular trainee. Okay, so that here the teacher trainee is teaching to the co-trainees, and after the performance of the particular skill, the co-trainees have to give the feedback. And basing on the feedback, that means on one side the co-trainees will give the feedback, and on the other hand the teacher educator also give the feedback. And basing on the feedback, then it will be decided whether to repeat it afterwards or can proceed to the next skill. Okay, and now let us see the concept of micro teaching. What is micro teaching? Micro teaching is a teacher training technique which helps the teacher trainee to master the teaching skills. Okay, students, here I would like to repeat it once again. Micro teaching is a teacher training technique which helps the teacher trainee to master the teaching skills. It is very clear that is under this particular micro teaching, the teacher trainee is going to practice the teaching skills only teaching skills. Okay, is it clear? And it requires the teacher trainee certain aspects. Number one, to teach a single concept of content. To teach the single concept of content. So here, before we go to this, I would like to tell you what is content. What is the difference between lesson and content? Content is the selected portion of the lesson which we are going to teach in one particular class. Okay. Once again I will repeat. Here that means content is the selected portion of a lesson which we are going to teach in one particular period. That is called content. So here the first thing is the teacher trainee requires to teach a single concept of content, and the next one is using a specified teaching skill. Using a specified teaching skills. That means we are going to use a bundle of skills in the real classroom situation, and the duration of the class is 40 to 45 minutes. But under micro teaching, here using a specified teaching skill, only one skill at a time. And third one is the time duration is it is a short time, for a short time. And next one is to a very small member of pupils. Very small member of the pupils. That means not to a big group of people, but we reduce the class size also. Okay. And here when we come to the objectives of micro teaching is to enable teacher trainees to learn and assimilate new teaching skills under controlled conditions. So what exactly the objective of micro teaching? To enable teacher trainees to learn and assimilate new teaching skills under controlled conditions. And next one is to enable teacher trainees to master a number of teaching skills. That means to gain confidence in teaching. To gain confidence in teaching. That means we remember one thing, dear students, what exactly the thing is. We will make out that one skill at a time, practice. That means micro teaching is before they go to macro teaching, they are going to practice it to reach some sort of perfection. Not exactly perfection, but to reach some sort of perfection. And when they get when they are able to perform the skill correctly, and that will enhance their confidence, that will instill confidence and also enhances confidence. Okay, students, my dear trainees, I think you got the point. I think you could understand what exactly the micro teaching. Okay, this is in this particular video I dealt with what is micro teaching and what are the definitions of micro teaching and the concept of micro teaching and the history of micro teaching and also the objectives of micro teaching. Okay, okay, dear trainees, and I will stop here and I will continue the next topic about micro teaching, that is what are the steps and what are the phases of micro teaching. I will continue this in my next video. Thank you. All the best for your micro teaching. Thank you.